Hi, I'm Paco, and you're watching Bad Witch Books. It is time we do the first TBR of 2025. I do not know how it is already 2025. I still feel like it's 2024. I mean, technically, it is spiritually 2024 since I'm filming this pregame ahead of time. But let's get into this TBR, shall we? It is a wild thought that we are already doing the first TBR of 2025. I'm hoping these... I just don't know what to think. Alright, let's get to it. So, we are starting with a new thing. I have a TBR jar that I have played a bunch of prompts for. That I have, like, I think 50 prompts in here. So, this is going to be our big priority. Now, we're going to be pulling, like, some prompts from here. I don't know how many, but we'll pull, I think we're going to pull 5 prompts from here. And then, so we have to pull 5 prompts. And then I also want to make sure that I'm prioritizing my fairy loot books and my physically owned books. And, of course, BIPOC books are always going to be the priority. So, let's see what we got. I have to open this first. Okay, we are back. Let's now pool. So, we're going to do 5 pools. Okay, our first prompt is... Ooh, okay, that's a good one. A fairy loot book for prompt number 1. That is good because if you watched my last video, you know one of my goals for this new year is to read the 19 fairy loot books that I currently own at the moment. We're not counting fairy loot books that are gotten after the video goes up. So fairy loot books that come in the mail, while I will try to read those, aren't going to be the huge priority like the 19 that I already have. Okay, so the next prompt is to read a book with the Fae in it. If you could read that. A book with the Fae. Read a Fae book, so it's 2. Okay. Let's see. Ooh, number 3 is a favorite author. Okay. Okay. That's going to be fun to find one. That's 3. We got 2 more. I got the 2. Okay. Read a soft DNF. So a book that I picked up before that I have not finished and that I said I would try again later. Okay. Okay. And then last is to read an Insta scroll. Okay, so I will do that. All right. I will check in with you guys later after I think a little bit. We're back with the picks. I have Cisco near me, so if you guys hear whining, he wants attention. So I am going to be petting him occasionally as I do these picks. So I've got my picks for the polls. Pause. No. And for the prompts. So let's get to it. So our first prompt that I got a book for was the Instagram scroll, which you will see here is a clip of my screen recording. And I scrolled until I found a book that I owned because I'm not going to buy a book for that challenge. I say that because I will be buying a book for something else, but we're going to get into it. And that was Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. This is a cozy romantic fantasy book. It follows a girl who is like in this Regency romance, and she is cursed by a fairy, I think when she's a baby, and she doesn't feel embarrassment, and would make being in the London scene very awkward, and she's trying to be a wallflower until she catches the eye of a sorcerer. So I am very intrigued in reading this. I've had this for a while. This has been on my radar for a while, so it's going to be finally the kick in the teeth. I need to read it. The next book I have is not a book for the prompts, but it is A Cruel Thirst by Angela Montoya, which was my favorite book of one of my favorite books of 2025. This follows Lalo, who is a freshly turned vampire, and Carolina, who is a wannabe vampire huntress, who have to work together to stop vampires. And I love this book. I will be rereading it. It is now physically out, and I am making my friend book club, which is me, Princess, Jen, Helen. I think it's me, Jen, Princess Helen, Lynn, and Jazz. We have kind of canceled our book clubs out, and now we have our own like one. And I'm forcing them to read Cruel Thirst. And then also my IRL book club, which the library also is going to be reading this. So I'm very excited because I love this book. I've been anticipating a reread, and I'm going to try to tab up this edition. So I look forward to that. I just got to find some like red tabs. So the book is A Fire in the Skies by Sophie Jordan. This is was a fairy loot or pick for the Romantasy box. And this book follows our main character, Tamsin, who she was raised in the court basically to like be a body double for the princess, and she is forced to marry the guy who killed the last dragon, and shit happens, and apparently she has a secret, and I'm interested to read it. I haven't been super like yay for the Romantasy books they've been picking, but I am intrigued to read this one, none to say the least. This is a gorgeous cover, so I am very intrigued to read this. It says dragons are extinct, witches are outcast, but magic lives, so that is intriguing, and I do love a good dragon book. So the next book was a book that was soft DNF'd, and for me, I have chosen Where the Dark Sand Stills by A.B. Pornick. This is a Polish-inspired fantasy, which gives very Howl's Moving Castle vibes. It follows our main character, Liska, who has magic and doesn't want it, and so she goes into the woods to get this magic flower that can grant wishes so she can get rid of her magic, but she eventually makes a deal with Lishi, who will help her if she serves him for a year. And I already started this. I got quite a way into it, and I was really enjoying it, but because of the November, like September, October, and November were really bad reading months for me. I did not end up finishing this in time, and I ended up putting it down, but I still really enjoyed what I read, and I want to finish it because I was enjoying it. It just, the pacing and the time where I was at, I had to stop. So I am intrigued, to say the least, of finishing this book. So the next two books kind of fit one prompt, but I just want to knock them both out. So it's a book with the Fae, and I have How the King of Elfheim Learned to Hate Stories by Holly Black, and illustrated by Rovina Call, which is a short story collection of Carden's life from the Folk of Air and Water, I believe is what the series is called. But this is like a short anthology of short stories, so I wanted to read this, knock this out, and then also read Stolen Air, which is a spin-off series of the Folk of Air trilogy. And this is like takes place in the future, and it follows a character who's a child, and that follows Oak. Yeah, it takes place 8 years after the Folk of the Air, and I'm intrigued to read this trilogy. I think it's trilogy. This is, I think, the last book comes out this year, and I've been wanting to get to it, and so this is the like kick in the ass to read it. So another book club I am a part of, which is a fantasy one, I don't go to all the time. I go to when I can, and when the book is really interesting. And the book they're reading for January is Blood Over Brighthaven, and I've been very excited to read this by Emma Wong. This is about the first female mage or high mage of, I believe, a school or this university, and that's all I really know about it. I've never read anything by Emma Wong, but I've heard nothing but great things about this book, so I'm very excited to finally read it. This is one of my more anticipated books of that I just have, and I'm excited to get through this. I've heard nothing but like amazing things about her writing, and so I will be getting to it. The last book I have is a book by a favorite author, and this is Warm Hands of Ghosts by Catherine Arden. This is the author of one of my favorite trilogies ever, the Winter Night trilogy. So this is her next book. This is an adult. I believe this is a standalone, and this takes place during World War One. It is about a nurse who, I believe, she could see ghosts, and she is looking for her brother who was missing in the trenches. And I am very intrigued to read this. I love Catherine Arden. Like I said, the Winter Night trilogy is one of my favorite trilogies ever. Honestly, probably my favorite trilogy I can think of right now. So I am very excited to read this book. The last book is what I do not have on me right now, but one of my main goals is to finish series and sequels. You guys will have a video coming soon of the series that I wish to finish in 2025, but this book is not in that series, and none of the books I have are in any of those series. But I do want to prioritize like duologies as well, knocking those out. So I will be reading Drown Me With Dreams, which is the sequel to Sing Me to Sleep, which follows a siren who is posing as a water fae in a world where the fae are the like dominant species, and she is an assassin who's used her powers in secret. And I really enjoyed book 1, and I'm intrigued to knock out book 2 and get the Fairy Loot edition. So that is what I'm reading in January. What are you guys reading? What are you looking forward to reading? I think Blood Over Bridehaven is probably my most anticipated read of this month. Besides like Cruel Thirst again. I'm super excited to be rereading that. So I will see you guys next time. Bye.